Awesome. So today's session, we're going to be talking about personalization. And interestingly enough, this was my thesis a long time ago. And it is more relevant probably for us as designers today than ever. And it's just going to become a daily part of our life as we start designing. And so what we, which is me and the R&D teams that worked really hard for this, are trying to do is really talk about what personalization is, how we implement it. And we really want you to start thinking and introspecting on how you can use personalization in your products, because that is something that is going to be a constant thing that you'll be hearing as you move forward in your career. So that said, let's start off, and I will just run through the initial stuff, but then we have a lot of really interesting demos. And the idea is, again, we're just going to do a lot of Q&A, and we want you guys to kind of think through what we are going to talk about. And personalization, again, is not such a difficult or a random concept. It's actually something that we do every day. And I want to kind of explain it to you in a way that you kind of understand and you're able to move it forward. Hey, thanks, Vasan. Hey, Madhav, long time no see. So who's going to be presenting?
So I am.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so first, I want to explain a bit about personalization. There are two kinds of it. So first would be the explicit personalization.
Let's actually just stop here. Astha, if you could just stop and just take us through LinkedIn, because this is something that you guys have all seen, And Astha, if you can just run us through, the different pages of LinkedIn. Can you tell us where all is personalization happening?
Okay, so here
no, not Astha, not you, but just a Q&A, and then of course you can share the answers, but let everybody talk about it first. So where do you think personalization is happening here?
Excuse me, sir. So before that, shall we throw some light on personalization, a basic understanding of personalization for the people who are watching? I just want to share the presentation beforehand.
Okay, that's fine. So that just shows we didn't practice.
We actually did, but we did not inform that we are going to share the presentation. Everybody thought Saurabh will be sharing it, but that's my bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, cool. No worries. Stuff happens, and I think this is important to learn. And this is a really good lesson too. Is like with design, things will always go wrong. Whatever you do not plan for will always go wrong. So it's important that we plan for the things, and then we execute on that. But that's good. So let's look at personalization and limitation. So let's look at the first slide and kind of really understand what is personalization. Okay. So personalization is essentially nothing but tailoring something for yourself, okay, for the individual. Okay. And what is going to be interesting is towards the end, I'm also going to talk about how you can use personalization to fight a war. Okay. And if you can figure it out towards the end, full points to you. But, for now, let's just think about what is personalization is like. It's just simple, right? So you can either have like a plain regular car that you drive off the showroom. There's, standard sets of colors. There's a minimum level of personalization where you can say, I want blue, green, yellow, whatever. Or you can basically take the car, go into the aftermarket, jazz it up, do whatever you want in your own colors and your own personality, and you do it, right? And so that at its very basic level is personalization. And interestingly enough, personalization is a huge, huge market, right? So if you think about TikTok, the filters that come in, right? That's also personalization. It's your feeling, what you're thinking, and you're kind of personalizing it. And that actually got a lot of viral engagement, right? Or there is also one more, which is called Magic Avatars or something like that. And this is another product that basically took off like a rocket. Essentially, all it did was it allowed you to personalize your avatar, how you show yourself online. And that basically is, again, like a hundreds of millions of dollars of business, right? So personalization whether it is cars or your avatars or whatever, online or offline, is a huge business. Okay. And it's a lot of money that is involved in it. So let's go on to the next slide. All right. And personalization generally happens on the basis of 4 different elements. So think of personalization as it happens in a personal kind of an environment. Okay. Personalization is, let's say you meet your friend. Okay. So your friend is kind of trying to figure out, like, your best friends, you'll always say, my friend knows what I'm thinking about, right? Or my mom knows what I'm thinking about. So that's what it is. Or there's a feeling. So how you feel, based on how you feel, the other individual changes their behavior, or based on what you say or what you do. Okay. These are very common modalities in which people will engage with you. Okay. And so what I want you to think of is, can somebody give me an example of somebody personalizing based on how you think, just in your real life personal interactions?
Maybe my mother cooking for me with the taste that I like.
Okay. So she's kind of thinking that, oh, today you might like something. And so she's kind of cooking for you in that way.
In a way, like if I like certain curry in a certain way, she would be learning over the time that, okay, if the spicy should be medium and all those things.
So that is based on what you say, isn't it? So if you've eaten in the long term and you keep giving a feedback like, I like this, I didn't like this, there's a customization that's happening there, right?
Okay.
So its thinking is without saying anything, right? Go ahead, Madhav.
We find this more often in our music applications like Spotify, where it playlist based on your earlier.
Let's not look at Spotify or online stuff. Let's
Okay.
just look at
Okay.
interpersonal relationships. How does the other person behavior change based on what you're thinking, right? Because if you can find real world examples, you can actually transport that to an
Got
online
you.
experience.
Yeah, got you.
So go ahead, Mangesh.
Yeah. So am I audible first?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So regarding how other person feels. So whenever if I am, talking to any person or a younger, even a kid, so I usually change my strategy of talking to him based on how his mindset is and how he feels. I can't immediately go towards advising him immediately, or his personality will give me a gist of he's going to pick up my advice immediately or not, or I just want to act in that conversation as a listener. So that is one sort of an example how I personalize the way I behave as per other.
Interesting.
I get a
Yeah.
feedback.
That's a really wonderful example. So you're essentially looking at the person, in one way is you look at their age group, and based on their age group, you're probably saying, well, at this level, this is their capability of understanding. And so I'm going to
Exactly.
change my mode of communication. So that's great. So
Yeah.
you're basically looking at their physical limitations or physical or intellectual
Limitation.
limitations and opportunities, and you're engaging from that perspective, right? That's
Exactly.
awesome.
Yeah.
So any other example? There's one more. So think about when you go to a car sales or when you go to a sales event, okay, when somebody is trying to sell something to you. The salesperson is trying to look at you. They're not going to, of course, they will ask you questions, what do you want and all that stuff. But they're also trying to figure out, what are you thinking, right? Or even if you go to the roadside to buy something, from the road, or somebody who's selling on the street, they're basically trying to figure out how much can you afford. Right? So without asking you what you can afford, and they're trying to dynamically price it based on that value, right? So there's also this other element when you do the negotiation. What is interesting is both people are assuming that there is going to be some negotiation. So knowing what is going to happen, they're anticipating and kind of setting up your initial pricing, right? So that's also a lot based on thinking, right? So there's somebody who's analyzing you, who's understanding, trying to figure out where you are, and then or what questions you might have or what concerns you might have, and they're trying to resolve that when you start thinking about how you're thinking, right? And that's what happens in our personal life. So let's go on to feel, right? How have you ever seen an example of somebody personalizing their message to you based on how you feel? Right? Go ahead, Mangesh.
a lot of the times, when I'm texting or I'm chatting with someone, and I am, every single reply that comes, I'm judging what the other person is, feeling and what his standpoint. So every single time I write something, I write my response is based on how he's feeling at this point. For example, this is a very lame, but I guess this is a relatable one. If someone is talking about his relationship, okay, and about his partner, and right now he is in a state of anger, he is feeling angry about, I can't immediately start telling him about you should or advising about his mistakes, what he is doing at this point. I can just act as like, okay, this is not how he is feeling at this point, and I cannot reply at this point. So maybe that can be a one go about how someone is feeling and
that's
how
right.
I'm
So
reacting.
you're basically tailoring. So even though you have a message, and this is a very interesting thing about our communication, even though you want to communicate A, you realize that they're in a different state and you're communicating B to and get them to the point where they can accept A.
Accepting.
Right. And so that's a very interesting style of communication. It's not a direct communication. You want to take them, take their emotional journey and move them somewhere else. So go ahead, Prasad.
So usually in professional life, when we are in companies, so basically I work in a small company. So see, usually my clients, they say the deadline is next week or 10 days or something like that. So, but it won't be there generally, what we feel in our cases. So, but when we come to the close dates, and even still we was not in reaching the targets, whatever we want to deliver. So, but we usually see the tone of the customer or mails of the customer. Based on that, again, we'll pitch in and we'll negotiate for the next additional time or something like that.
Interesting. And again, this is something that I found very uniquely in India, where we know we are not going to hit the target, but we don't like saying no, right? So when you're personalizing, this is an interesting component. This is a very interesting use case. You don't want to say no. So what you do is you will agree to the timeline, or maybe like a 10-20% increase in timeline to what the customer wants. And then slowly you will scope creep the time frame and you manage that person when it comes to that deadline. Is that right?
Yes, sir. True.
So now here's the interesting component. Why are we doing it? So clearly there is a business need. The business need says we need time X, right? And business need also says that if you do not agree to time X, you might potentially lose that business, right? So you want that business as well. So your primary business goal at that point is I want the business, right? And so you're saying something, and then you are generally managing that individual to the point. And I don't personally, my philosophy is I don't agree with that style of doing things. That makes me very, very uncomfortable. But again, I understand that's how it works in certain economies. But yeah, that's exactly how a communication happens. Is you're basically looking and you're trying to manage and you're trying to kind of reset expectations and do that. And again, even if it was a delay, you're basically trying to set expectations and build up that concept, right? Now, this is interesting. So there is a very interesting data point. And I was, earlier on, I used to think children lying is bad. Okay. Now, how many of you think that when a child lies, it is actually a bad thing? How many of you think a child lying is bad?
Myself.
Anybody?
Yeah.
Who's that? Okay, Narsimha.
Narsimha.
Okay, all right. Now, here's the interesting thing. So when I was sitting down with, when I was talking to this child psychologist once, and they were saying, wait, just think about it. That's actually a major developmental milestone, right? As a culture, we might value the truth. However, for a child, it's a developmental milestone. What does that mean? Because if you think about personalization, the hardest types of personalization are based on thinking and feeling, right? Because you do not have absolute information, right? So you're trying to, in ambiguity, you're trying to customize your message, or you're trying to do that. So what is required is a child, for the first time when they start lying, they have to learn a number of different skills, right? The first skill is they have to learn to read the person in front of them, right? The second skill that they have to learn is they have to understand what you know and what you don't know, okay? And they have to understand the information asymmetry, right? And then they have to use both of these pieces of information to create a lie that is credible enough that will stand in front of the other person, right? It's a very complex cognitive capability, right? And so inherently, all of us have gone through the process of lying, right? And so for me, when my daughter comes and like she tries to lie or she tries to play between my wife and I'm like happy. I'm like, good. This is what she's supposed to do at this age. You know, I'm glad she's doing it because that tells me that she's hit a very important cognitive milestone, because that is what is going to help her be an important part of the society tomorrow, right? Because society really cannot run unless the other person, other individual cannot guess what you're thinking or what you're feeling. And so we cannot have that. So it becomes very hard for us to have interpersonal relations, right? And so that is a huge milestone, but that's also a very, because it happens so early in our life, we don't really think about it. Okay. And this is something that when we have to design this for products also, these are the two areas which are really hard. It is something that we need to kind of figure out, right? And then you get to the next level, which is say. So say is fairly obvious, right? So when you say something, you personalize, which is what I think Mukesh was saying, or, was it Mukesh or somebody else? But I forget. But the idea there is, somebody says something and then based on that, you're modifying your feedback and you're re-engaging, right? Or you're observing somebody's behaviors, right? And based on that behavior, you're saying, yep, this is the most likely thing. And again, this is something that I do as a teacher. I look at my students and I say, well, is this person, some students, you just have to give them a hint and they'll take it and they'll run. Some students, you have to tell them like, yeah, this sucks. This is absolutely bad. Even though it might be like, both people did the same work. One person, I might say, I'm disappointed, and that's it. The work will get done, right? The other individual, I might look at it like, oh, this absolutely sucks. This is the worst and all that. And I have to amplify it so that the other person kind of takes the feedback and changes it, right? So again, that is where I'm looking at doing. And so I'm kind of observing how they behave, what their inputs are. And based on that, I kind of change my behavior, right? So this is where you can do personalization on these 4 elements. Now, what is interesting is there's another element to personalization. Let's go to the next slide. Right? No, go back. Yeah. So in this, when you're looking at this, there are 2 different parts, right? There is something called an implicit personalization. There's something based on explicit personalization. Okay. And this is something I want you to kind of understand the difference. Explicit personalization is based on data, what people are saying and doing, what people are explicitly telling you. I want this, I don't want this. So, when you sign up, you say, I want to get newsletters about A, B, and C, and I do not want newsletters about the others. It's a very explicit thing. Or I might say, I do not want newsletters. You go into settings and say, do not email me for anything. That's a very explicit statement that you're making that the product is understanding. Okay. Now, implicit is based on not what you're saying, but rather what the other individual is trying to figure out from your behaviors, actions, or thoughts, or whatever. They're trying to understand what your thought process is. Okay. And based on that, they're trying to do implicit personalization. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Astha just run you through. She's not going to talk about what are the implicit personalization, what is the explicit personalization, or even where is personalization. She's just going to show her LinkedIn account and she's going to walk you through the different pages, 3 or 4 pages. What I want you to do is look at those pages and tell me what are examples of implicit personalization, what are examples of explicit personalization. Okay. And the second thing is, where all is personalization happening? So maybe the first question is, where all do you see personalization happening? That's the first question. And the second question is, what type of personalization is it? Okay. Just look at it, take down a piece of paper and just write it down and then raise your hand. I think, and again, my answer, the point is, I think we all learn more when you make mistakes. Okay. So don't worry about giving the correct answer. Tell us what you're thinking, because if you might be right, you might be wrong, and again, I might not have planned for it. So again, feel free, just write it down, put a piece of paper next to you, and let's evaluate this. Go ahead, Asta, all yours.
Yeah, sure. So here it's like you can see the positions that I've searched for. And here I have set this job alert for one kind of position, software engineer. So here you can see like these are the recommendations. So,
and then can you go into your network, my network tab?
yeah. So,
you can see the connections.
yeah. So here.
Okay, so this is something that you're getting additional feedback is like, hey, people you might know. All right. Cool. Now, can you go to your homepage?
Yes, here or the job one?
Yeah, yeah.
Which one? This?
Yeah, your home, your first tab.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So we are just looking at jobs, network, and home. And all we are looking at is where all is personalization happening.
Yeah. Good.
Okay, cool. So let's stop here. And guys, what are your thoughts? Where all did you see personalization happening? Anybody?
So in my network, it's giving how you can follow up. I mean, based on what you have done, based on your connection, based on your friends, it is recommending that you may know this person in my network. So this is a personalization. So this is, implicit personalization. So she not
implicit, because the system is looking at, okay, you know this person also knows that person, so more likely you know each other.
Yeah.
Right. So that's an implicit personalization. Awesome. Go ahead, Mangesh.
Yeah, so the first job section, right? So that was very explicit. I mean, it was giving you results based on what your expectations were and why you were here. So it was an example for that. While network is an example of implicit, because the AI is now knowing where you come from and what are you looking forward to go to, and what are all the data you have already entered into. It's making decision on the basis of that. So that seems to be an example of implicit. Also the homepage, the posts and everything. If at all there is any activity like liking a post particularly, so that would be at your immediate, at the very top glances, that you won't go that below. All the ones which, you have a tendency of reacting to, those posts will be on the top, and those which, you won't like, there is a tendency of you not, getting interested in such
So
posts.
this is awesome, Mangesh.
Yeah.
So I want everybody to remember this, because we are going to get back to this one point that Mangesh is making. Okay. On the homepage, the system is figuring out what you're reacting to. So that's based on your behavior. It is doing it. It's implicit or explicit, Mangesh?
It's implicit. That's what
it's implicit.
I am there.
So it's implicitly looking, and that's right. So it's implicitly looking at your click-through behavior and saying what kind of posts are you likely to click on, or what individuals are you likely to click on, and stuff like that. And based on that, it is now turning around and it is giving you new recommendations. Okay. And pretty much everything on the top half of your page is pretty much what has a higher probability of engagement. Because the more you can engage, the more you will scroll down. Okay, and that's a business goal there. Now, the other point that you were making was network. So in network, it was, again, you were saying it was implicit because these are the people you're connected. Right? Cool. Awesome. Go ahead, Prasad.
So basically in job section, when we see it is showing UX designer jobs and all. When we see the searches of Asta, Asta has searched, it seems like full stack developer and UX guy and some other searches there, 3 searches. Based on those 3 searches, we can see the job recommendations even. So based on the recent searches.
Is that explicit or implicit? So she searched for certain jobs.
Yes.
Okay. Now, is that explicit or implicit here?
So it's basically based on her actions. Actions again. I'm not able to differentiate between.
Yeah, this is a very subtle kind of a thing, right? So this is now the thing that I would say is, if Astha was looking for a job and she basically said, create a create a alert for me for these kinds of jobs, right? That's a very explicit prompt. Okay. Now, implicitly, so there is an implicit understanding that LinkedIn is saying is, if you have searched for this job, there's a likelihood that you'll be continuing to be interested in those kinds of jobs, right? So that is a combination, right? There's an implicit and explicit combination in there. So it's not a pure implicit or a pure explicit. So you're just basically looking at the history, and showing your history is actually one of the most basic ways of personalization. In fact, even if you go to your browser, you see your history. That's a very basic type of personalization, right? So awesome. Asta, did we miss anything?
No, yeah, yeah, you got everything right. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Asta. So now we have another demo. Okay, so we are going to do the same thing, but we are going to do it for, I believe, let's go to the next one, Amazon. Okay, we're going to do the exact same demo for Amazon. And what I want you to do is, again, whatever we did, right? So I think, again, this is practice. You have to practice your mind in noticing it. When you start noticing it, you suddenly start becoming aware of how, personalization is all around you. Okay. And then you start thinking from that perspective. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give you a taste. If you can recognize it, you will be able to do it in the long term. Okay. So let's go to the next demo, which is Amazon.
Yeah. So, sir, actually, I just opened 3 accounts here, which is in the Amazon. So 2 accounts related to, in those 2 accounts, we have already orders. It's like previous accounts, maybe 2-3 years back, they have created. One more account we have created fresh, like just before 10 minutes of our call, we have created this one.
Okay.
So I'll go through the screens related to both accounts. Maybe we can check where the personalization is happening. So,
right.
Yeah. So this is the new account, very new account, just created. So this is the home page again. Usually we get the recommendations here. If the account is old one. I'll show you the differences here. So the section, whatever it's showing here, is a different one. And here the section is a different one.
Okay.
So all other sections, even like basically both are home pages, but all other sections, this is having pick up where you left off, keep shopping for, buy again. But this is having a different sections here, which is very new account.
Okay.
So, and again, both accounts has opened in the same system, and whatever the location, network, everything is same. Maybe if those are the parameters Amazon is using for the personalization. So we can see even today's deal also. So maybe a couple of products is completely different, which it shows. So, sir, you want me to talk on this?
This is good. So let's actually go to a product. Go click on a product.
Okay. So
any product. Okay, click on the Insta, whatever, one of those cameras. So look at this screen. So here you have like, hey, you can add to this cart or buy it right now. And then you have the ratings and reviews. And then you say, hey, this is the discount. Now scroll down. Right. It's got offers there. Now scroll down. You're seeing more about this item. Scroll down. And then you're saying, hey, wait a minute, if you're going to buy this product, scroll up, please. Here are other things that might be related to the product. So, you got the action camera special bundle, then you have a grip, and then you have the action camera case or whatever, or the camera itself. Then you scroll down. And you're saying, here are other brands that kind of make similar products. And then here are featured items you might like. Okay, scroll down. And this, by the way, is called the view item page. So you scroll down and you're able to see like, okay, here are pictures and stuff like that.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, at the same time, now go to another product. So this product might be a floor mat. Click on a floor mat.
Floor mat.
Or actually go back on this page. Sorry. Go one more page back. So go to the search result page for these cameras. So on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side, you'll see all the filters. So notice the filters. Okay. So look at the brands, look at all of this stuff, scroll down. There's a pricing, and then there's like, okay, yeah, that's what it is. Now search for camera on top. Digital camera. Now scroll down. Now notice there's also a category section, and then you scroll down, there's reviews, there's brands, there's a pricing. And then there is megapixels, optical zoom, and all that. Now go to the other tab. Now search for floor mats on this tab. MATS, or that's fine too. Okay, so now you look at it, scroll down, let's look at the filters. Let's see what the results are. Okay, these are all the different kinds of filters. Okay. Now it tells you lightweight, fade resistant, and all that. It doesn't obviously have the megapixels and stuff like that. So now go to the previous one. Go to the other tab. Now notice in this tab, both tabs, you searched on both tabs. One of them showed you in list view, the other showed you in grid view. Okay. I want you to think about this. What is happening here? Okay. There's something like Amazon. In fact, like if you realize outside of Google, Amazon is probably one of the most powerful search teams in the world, right? I mean, in terms of the sheer brain power that's there, right? Amazon has invested immense amount of money. On one, you have a grid view. On the other one, you have a list view. You have different filters. You have different front pages. Everything is different, right? So I'm not going to go deeper into it because, if you get deeper into it, you'll realize like the whole of Amazon is like an insane personalization machine. Okay. So what I want you guys to think about now, you can stop sharing, Prasad. Thank you. So what I want you guys to think about is, okay, where did personalization come in? Where was the personalization? Guys, if you can turn on your cameras, that'd be great because it helps me also like feel like, hey, we're having conversations and stuff. But yeah, so where was the personalization?
Based on the search history.
Sorry?
Based on the search history, whatever we searched.
Okay. So one, absolutely, there was one which was, your homepage was very different based on what you searched for or what you purchased, right? So was that explicit or implicit?
It has multiple
it,
parts.
Mm-hmm.
It has both implicit and explicit.
So what is the implicit part? What is the explicit part?
The suggestion part, like you might want to buy these things, is implicit.
No. So on the homepage, we're talking only on the homepage.
Okay. I'm sorry, I can't recall the image.
So Prasad, can you show okay, let me just, yeah, Prasad, if you can share your screen on Amazon.
Yes, sir.
The homepage.
So pick up where you left off is actually explicit. Keep shopping for is actually explicit, and buy again is also explicit.
Right.
And
Because all of these, this is this very similar example to you search for this job, right? What Asta did in the previous one. She had a job search already in place, and so this was your history. And so it is literally showing your history back to you. Right? So these are explicit. Okay, that's fine. Okay. And again, this is where, they're basically saying, yeah, pick up where you left off. It's like, yeah, I explicitly know you did this and therefore I'm putting it up here. What else?
It also knows my location. And
I was wondering who would catch that. So is that implicit or explicit?
It depends on the onboarding, I guess so, but it could be implicit if we have allowed the location.
Even if you don't have an Amazon account, okay, you type in amazon.com, it will redirect you to amazon.in.
Okay.
Okay, all your prices will be in Indian rupees until you explicitly change and say, okay, I want to change my country to the US. Right?
Yes, sir.
So this is an implicit thing. So using your IP address, and again, when you start thinking about it, like, okay, how did they do it? Okay, how they did it was they took your IP address, and using your IP address, they were able to figure out, okay, you are in this general location. Okay. And so based on that general location, they were able to say, yep, you are Amazon India. Okay. Turns out this is also very interesting, right? If you are in a place that is snowing versus that doesn't get snow, you will get completely different products even within India. Right? So again, these are implicit. That's an implicit one. So good catch, Mukesh. What else?
Can you scroll a little, Prasad? Okay, today's deals is again, it's a marketing thing. Can you scroll a little down? You might be looking for might be implicit.
In what way is this implicit?
It has been estimating maybe that I am searching for a certain category, maybe electronics or something, and it might be showing me the data based on that.
Prasad, go to the other browser where you had something open and let's see if it has the same products for today.
This is the new account, sir. We haven't searched
new account. Okay, yeah. Let's scroll down and see today's deals are completely different. The presentation style is completely different. Think about it. Right? So the products are completely different here.
Yeah. So it was based on the user pattern is what I mean. So maybe that
is it implicit or explicit?
Implicit.
I think it's combination of both. Because it gives recommendation of the explicit where we try to search something, it will take that input and it try to merge that and give the implicit data before you searched it, so you might like this. So it might be combination of both. That's my view.
So I would argue that if it doesn't have the exact products that you look for, okay, or it has like a small proportion of them, but you have other stuff that is novel and interesting, I would say it is implicit. Okay, because it's assuming that, yeah, you liked a camera, so probably you might be interested in technology. But if you notice here, these are some of the things. It's like it's giving him a yoga mat. It is also giving them like floor mats, the different things that are out there, and then an air conditioner and home furnishings. So there's a lot of mixture of different classes of objects in here, right? So I mean, this person searched, I think, on this, so you would see different kinds of queries in that game, right?
Okay.
So there is, I would say this is probably implicit, okay? Because this is not exactly a laptop or a smartwatch. I didn't see any searches on that. So that's where it is. So again, there's a lot of implicit searches that are all going on in here, okay? But where the biggest personalization is happening is on the view item page. That thing is like the mother of personalization. Go to the view item page, if you could, Prasad.
So the same
click
account
on any product. Yeah, just click on any product and then see, let's see, or even the search result page, if you look at it, all the filters are different, right? Is that implicit personalization or explicit personalization?
It is implicit.
Is it
filters,
implicit?
I mean this page.
No, not this one. So the search result page, if you go to the search result page, so go to the other window, Prasad.
This one, sir.
Yeah, and then go to the search result page where you were searching for a camera, a digital camera. So just go back to your history and go to that page. Yeah. So on the on the left-hand side, you see all these filters, right?
Yes,
so
sir.
if you say it's category, it's giving you a different category, then it's giving you a brand, but scroll down, right? It's giving you a price and all that stuff. But now it's saying manufacturer type, right? Is it handmade or machine made? What is the type of weave? Okay. But when you go to the camera, it'll tell you how many megapixels and all that stuff. So these things, the filters on the left are completely different. Is that implicit or explicit?
Explicit. Based on the customer input, it is doing.
But the customer didn't say that these are the filters.
Okay, the list that is created. Okay.
That list is completely dynamic, and all of these are dynamic.
Isn't it based on the products, the filters?
Yes. So is that personalization? Is that even personalization?
No.
No, sir, it will be common for same for all, right? I think
across the categories, category-wise filters.
So I would actually argue, Ramya, that there is a certain level of personalization, because what they have done is, if you were looking for rugs, how does Amazon know that I'm looking for oval, rectangular, round? I mean, there has to be some data there, right? I mean, because if you look at the description of a rug, it is so big and so deep, right? I mean, why doesn't it say, like, scroll down, I want to see country of origin, right? I want to, let us say, there are filters that it has not put in there, and there are filters that it has put in here, right? So of all the 100 different elements that you can put in there, Amazon is choosing, I'm going to put only these specific type of filters, right? So that is personalization. Would you agree, Ramya?
Yeah, yes.
Again, my style of communication is I might give you wrong feedback. I might argue wrong. So you're free to kind of prove I'm wrong.
Okay. Can you repeat that? I think I lost it in between.
So what I'm saying is, see, there are hundreds of things that you can filter on. Okay. But Amazon has only chosen these 4 or 5 or 6 different things that it thinks are most important based on, maybe what people are looking for or behavior. And therefore, my argument is it is personalization.
Personalization means here it's to the specific individual, right? So I feel the set of filters can apply to this kind of product across the site for any person. So
again, personalization is not for an individual, right? It could be for an individual, for a group of individuals. You can personalize it for a certain situation. Right? So even the car example that I gave, even the basic car has some personalization because it allows you to choose 4 colors.
Right.
Right? That is still some basic level of personalization. So this I would argue is still, it's personalizing for the context in here, which is, you're looking for a rug, and so more likely you are probably looking for rugs for the kitchen or whatever, or you're looking for handmade or machine made. So these are more common, is what I would argue.
Yeah, I agree on that point. Yeah, true. Based on these are the parameters that I would assess, make a decision on buying a carpet. Whatever, right. Yeah, I would. Based on that, what people are asking questions on, that would become my filter parameters.
Awesome. Cool. So I think we both agree. So go ahead, Narasimha. And then I'm going to leave this one question. If you guys can figure out why carpets is in grid view and why cameras is in list view, right? You get extra credit. And if you guys cannot answer it, I will answer it in the end. But this is a challenge for all of you guys. Okay. So go ahead, Narasimha.
Yeah, I think Amazon is giving an option to the customer to personalize their things here in the grid view.
Okay.
They want us to explicitly select what we want. That's the reason they put it here.
Not really. Not really.
No.
So that's not the reason why you have grid view and list view. Go ahead, Ramya.
No, I'm not talking about the grid view and list view.
Okay.
It is about the explicitly or I just lost the word.
Explicitly.
Yeah.
Explicitly and implicitly.
Yeah. So they put here the option to choose, like they are giving the customer to select the explicitly the product which the customer wants.
Okay. But that is normal, right? So I mean, that is there in any shopping page. So there is no personalization there. So you have to click on what you want. Okay. Go ahead, Mukesh.
I feel there is a lot of decision that is involved in buying an electronic, which is like a lot costlier. While going through this mats and carpets, you basically look at the kind of visual thing. Like there is a technical aspect behind the camera. You need to read and then only buy. So maybe they are deliberately wanting you to click on each thing and go through the stuff. But carpets and all are directly visually available as information. The visual
Awesome,
element.
man. You got to give a fist bump on this. This is awesome. So,
Okay,
this is exactly that, right? So where you are visually comparing, you want to put it in a grid view. Okay. And again, there is a science behind that. When the way human vision works is you basically, we don't look at all the images because when you look at images, you can capture a lot more data in one view. And again, and there's a science behind that, and I can explain it at a later point, but take it from me that images are easier to process, and therefore, when you put it in a grid view, people will look at the center and process about 9 to 10 images at one time and look for what is interesting for them. Okay. Whereas when you look at text is harder to process cognitively. And so people have to read the text. And so that is why you put it in a certain order so you can compare the data. Okay. And that's why you do it. So is that personalization or not?
it is in a way, but no.
It is in a way, because you're kind of saying based on the product you're looking for and personalizing it. And again, based on, the human limitation, the physiological limitations of the eye, or the way we consume data, this is how it is. Right. So that's it. So this is awesome. So let's go, and I'm gonna, I don't want to drag this out a little bit longer, but let me go to the product page and you can very quickly look at all the different kinds of personalization that's happening there. So click on a product, any product. Yeah, the earbuds or whatever, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. So click on one of the laptops. Yeah, that's fine. So here, if you think about it, there is a lot of personalization in the context, even in terms of pricing, right? So there is data, and Amazon has tried this, based on what you have been buying before, or if you come to this product multiple times or whatever, Amazon kind of knows, are you close to purchasing or are you still making a decision? And so the pricing may change on that time, right? So you might just say, I'm going to drop the pricing by another 1% if this person is going to buy it. Okay. And again, if you're depending on who you are, where you are, the pricing may change. Right? Now, that's one level of personalization that you can do. Then you scroll down and then you can see like, okay, so offers and EMIs, right? So traditionally, these are standard, but again, one way you can personalize it, and I don't know if Amazon is doing it or not, but if you have traditionally done HDFC Bank or certain kinds of banks, it'll kind of try to put those offers up front so you can see them. Okay. Now, if you kind of scroll down, keep scrolling down, you can look at this. It's basically telling, hey, wait, there's this model based on your behavior. It's explicit kind of data. You've looked at this product, and therefore there's a newer model of this. So that's also a personalization for that, right? So there is a certain level of communication that is happening. And then when you look at the frequently bought together, this is implicit personalization, because what they have done is they've said people who buy a laptop also buy these other things. So more likely than not, if you're looking for a laptop, you want to bundle with this, right? And just this one element of personalization has increased Amazon's revenues by like a huge percentage, right? I don't know the exact number, but it's a huge number. right? Because I mean, if you just add them, it will really come to 47,408. They're not giving any discount. They're not doing anything. All they're saying is, hey, you can just add all three to the cart. They're just giving that ease of adding three elements to the cart. And what you're thinking in your mind is, oh, for this laptop, yeah, this carrying case is the perfect, because otherwise, if you're buying by yourself, you'll wonder like, okay, is this case good or will that case fit or whatever. Here, you don't have to worry about it. Everything is somehow bundled. It makes sense. I'm just going to buy it. You don't even have to think. And so just that one element, that implicit personalization there, made a huge amount of impact. Now let's scroll down. Right? Products related to this item. So if you've already scrolled this far, chances are you have not made a decision yet. And so you're still kind of going back and forth. So in that kind of a situation now, there's a implicit decision that is being made. Oh, you're scrolling. So if you scroll this much, you have not made a decision. So let me show you other products, because anyways, you might actually go to a different company or different website. Instead of that, let me keep you on my website and let me just show you other products on my website. So it is using that implicit behavior and showing you this. Now let's scroll down. Right? Now it's basically saying maybe you were just idle browsing. So scroll up. So if you're just idle browsing, then here's other stuff that you might idle browse for. Okay. So if you notice, there's a lot of implicit personalization that's happening throughout the page for you. Okay. And there is also a lot of intent mapping. So what some designer did was that at this part of the page, your intention is this. At this part of the page, your intention is this. At this, so they're basically personalizing based on your changing intention as you scroll down on the page. Okay, now you scroll down. Now finally it says, okay, what's in the box for from the manufacturer and all that, and now you are getting into the details of it. So okay, yeah, you probably want to read more. That is also a possibility. So you want to read more about the product and all that. So they're giving you that. So notice this is also probabilistic design in place, where the designer is saying, okay, I do not know for 100% that you're looking for other products. Maybe you just want more of this same product. So I'm going to put it in here. Right? So I'm designing for both kinds of intentions here. Now you scroll down. Right? So again, there's no personalization at this point. So you keep going down. And again, this is all pretty much the same kind of data that anybody would get when they look at this product. Right? This is the technical stuff, is what companies are giving you. And then again, you're getting the personalization component. Customers have viewed this, also viewed this, products related to this. So at this point, Amazon's goal has purely shifted to, let me keep you on the website. It looks like this product may not be right. Let me keep you and engage you here. Okay. So if you just literally look at Amazon, you will realize that there's so much personalization that's happening at every point of the way. So thank you very much. Let's stop sharing. So thank you, Prasad. Okay. So let's go back to the presentation. All right. So now here's one challenge for you guys. Okay. And this was an example that was shared. And I initially thought, like, is anybody doing personalization based on how I feel? Okay. And I was just thinking, no, I don't think there's anybody. And, I had one of the R&D teams is basically, no, there is this product. And I'm like, wow. Okay. So that product is Poised. So here's a product demo that is going to talk about personalization based on how you feel. So go ahead, Aruni. Go ahead. I think you're on mute, Aruni.
Sorry. So today I'll be taking you through a very interesting AI tool that I found, which helps you in improving your communication skills. So this is Poised AI, which is a very personalized AI tool which helps you to improve your communication skills. And how it does it is through like each time you're attending an interview or you are on a meeting and you want to know how you are doing in a meeting, or let's say as I talk to you right now, I am using this tool to know how I speak and how I can enhance my skills as I speak. So if you can see, this is a dashboard of Poised AI, which is running for now because this meeting started, and since then it has been recording. So there are also other things that are going on simultaneously as I speak to you. So since that feature cannot be shown even as I share my screen, I was doing a demo run with my teammates, and this. So if you can see here on the screen, this is actually how it is able to give me a real-time feedback as I talk to you. It tells me how my pace is as I talk to you, and it also tells me where am I using too many filler words. So as I speak and say and take breaks, it will be able to give me a real-time feedback and tell me and for a detailed analysis of how I speak and how I conduct myself throughout the meeting. It will give me a progress report of how I do it. So it's an overtime thing where it is able to detect how confident I feel, how clear I am with my words, so if you can see my screen, here it is like how much clarity did I have, how much clarity of my speaking improved as I conducted we conducted 3 sessions, and we were able to see how things were changing. Even in terms of confidence, as I speak to you now, I am a little anxious, and which it is able to detect because it says, oh, you're using your filler words, or you're saying, it's also telling me about my pace, that, okay, it's good, it is fast. And based on that, it will be able to calculate my performance. And this Poised AI tool also has a pro feature where after when you have done 3 meetings or 4 meetings, you can actually go sit and see how you can improve. And based on based on these markers, it will suggest you articles and videos through which you can reference them and improve your skills. So this was one interesting tool which I found was actually able to see how are we feeling. And if you see even in like empathy, so it can tell you ask low questions and you were interrupting others sometimes, which you can analyze on your own. Is it a good thing or a bad thing for you? Depending on the scenario. And encouragement and like inclusive language. How are you conducting yourself and what kind of language are you speaking? So I found this tool and yeah, even for like a tone, was your tone positive or was it very negative? It is able to detect that and tell you. So yeah, this was one interesting tool which I found, and I think this was able to actually give me good results.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you, Aruni. And I was just really surprised when Aruni talked about this product, and I was like, okay, wow, there's a system that does that. Now we get to the other side of personalization, right? Have you ever seen personalization be used to change people's behaviors, right? So far, what we have seen is we've used personalization to sell better, to be more effective, to be more aligned with the customer. But this is the other side of it, right? The flip side of it. Have you ever seen personalization where somebody is you're trying to change the whole society, in a sense? Anybody? All right. So we're going to give you 2 examples. And again, full kudos to the R&D team. They've done just such a phenomenal job. So can we do the presentation on TikTok and how TikTok actually does drive social change through its algorithms? So who's presenting?
Lakshmikant. Okay. So I'll
yeah, Mukesh, you can present the screen. Yeah, I'll go on.
Give me a second. So
yeah. Now I'll start with the question right after now. So if you know TikTok,
this is in the past tense for India because TikTok is banned in India, but it's still important to understand the logic and the thought process behind it, because there's a lot of underlying components. So go ahead, Lakshmikant.
So if you know TikTok, how many number of hours you spent in a day using this TikTok? I mean, when you are using it. So it's just a question. So if you have answers, you can type in the chat, or I'll just continue. We have this answer after analyzing about TikTok, about this what TikTok algorithm is going to do. So maybe we'll discuss it after I'll end of the topic. So maybe everyone knows about TikTok, but there are two versions of the TikTok. One is only for the China, and other is only for other than the China, entire the world. So the version of the app is available in other countries is known as TikTok, and while in China it is known as Douyin. So everyone thinks that both the versions are same and just the language is different. But there are some key differences between these Chinese application and or other applications like TikTok. So if you open TikTok in US, if any children open in TikTok, so there is some content you are seeing like more into entertainment kind of. But if you open this in China, the majority of the content is about people achieving something or excellent. People achieving accomplishment, or people starting social enterprises, or people becoming karate masters. So there will be other content too, but it is too limited, and it is also organized by this Chinese government. And if it exceeds certain regulations, so it will be banned. Every content that you see in China is censored by government of China and TikTok officials. It is limited to use only, and also it is only limited to use 1 hour per day for children, and but not in other, not in China. It is only in China, not in other countries. So how it goes is the algorithm quickly learns how users interact with the content, and it will analyze that you are liking the content, and based on your interaction with the content, and it will give you the next content. When you are watching the first content only, it will analyze that, yeah, you are liking this type of content. It will give you the same content in the backend. And if you scroll up, it will the same content. If you are interacted with it in a positive way, it is the same content that you are getting. So so by this, in some way, it is like destroying the imagination of the generations in other countries. Like it is throwing us in only one way. But if you take the example of China, it is giving examples like educational things, or achieving something, people achieving something, and it is only for control to 1 hour in these situations. And TikTok's TikTok's policies also banned some content like some officials, foreign leaders like Gandhi, Putin. So that they had some issues with these great leaders, and they wanted they don't need to appear in the content. And some studies stated that even the politics also been affected by this TikTok. Even the voting also happened due to this TikTok's thing. Even what you wear or what you buy, if you want to buy a car, there are some advertisement. There is some algorithm that pushing you to buy that car, or to wear that T-shirt. So these are some studies I have gone through. And if you're a normal user, you're going to spend at least 15 minutes on it, but at a single time. This is a study said that even if you're a first user, by knowing your interest, what you're liking and what you're commenting on it. As you see here, we have a screenshot. The right side of it contains the content for the China, and left side it contains. I have taken the America as example, as we don't have the TikTok now. So China having the content like the education materials, the history of the countries of the world, psychology thing, or the Korean lessons. But in other countries, we have the content like entertainment or self-care, finance, and gaming industry. So these are the most popular in other areas. So if you take example like opium and spinach, like a data analyst said that opium.
So Lakshmikant, I think you can go on to the next one. I'm sorry to rush you, but we also have a YouTube one. So go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So if you look at this one, so this is how computer, this TikTok algorithm is analyzing how you are reacting the content. it is taking everything, not only the title of the content, it is taking the facial expressions of the girl, and you can see the computer vision under that girl, rabbits, outdoor play fun. It is capturing everything and it is saving the data particular on your profile, and it is giving the similar content of it. So can you go to the next? So if you took a look at the first picture. So this is a 3D model picture of TikTok algorithm found at net. So if you're starting to use TikTok now, I mean, if you're a first time user, you will be seeing random content. I mean, the popular content which has been presented in TikTok some while ago. And if you're reacting to some it, and if you want to feel, I mean, if you're watching if sad content, so then it is showing a sad content. Then it has multiple branches to it. If you are interacting it in such way, it is going through it, you are going in a deep hole. I mean, you are going to the branches of it. So there is some branches for sad status or some motivational statuses, some pranks, etc. Yeah.
So I think this is actually really fascinating, right? When you look at TikTok, you know, I mean, let's go on to the next slide. I think this is really phenomenal, the finding that is there, right? It's, young people in the US want to be social influencers, right? That is the outcome. If you just this is algorithmically changing our brains, right? Young people in the US want to be social influencers and marketing guys, whereas the youth in China want to be achievers, right? I want to be the astronaut. I want to do this. I want to do that, right? So it can be argued that, hey, it's not TikTok's fault. It is Chinese government putting the laws. So any country can put its own laws, right? So it's not China doing it. It's the TikTok guys that are handling it, but it's actually not, right? So there's a lot of, when you look at it, is China fighting a war with the rest of the world, right? Are they basically trying to undermine the rest of the society, right? Now, again, there is plausible deniability, right? When you talk about AI, this is also one of those things is when you do it wasn't me, it was the AI, it was the algorithm. The algorithm is doing it. I didn't do it. I'm sorry I did it, but, let me go fix the algorithm. So you're blaming somebody else for something, but really you are changing, right? It's an agenda that is going on, right? Now, let's actually do one more, which is a YouTube. I believe we have a YouTube demo. And then after that, I'm going to talk about how wars are fought using personalization and AI. And that is actually the more interesting component, just so you kind of understand how big a topic it is, right? And again, you need to be aware and you need to learn as designers, because this is what is going to make you super powerful. So let's go and start the YouTube demo very quickly. So this is one where, go ahead.
So we actually have fed two different channels with two different types of content. One with one of the leading political parties in India, which is actually BJP, and the other one we fed with AIMIM, which is a Muslim party which is based out of Hyderabad. So before starting the content, I just want to give a small disclaimer. This is just for educational purposes, and we don't want to hurt anyone or anyone's beliefs regarding the parties. So I deliberately fed the content from my side with the particular keywords that I could give into the BJP channel. The left side is the BJP and the right side is actually AIMIM. So on the AIMIM side, I actually fed a lot of keywords that are from the Muslim or the OIC party words. On the if you actually see the history of 1 second, sir. If you actually see the history of the BJP side, it started showing me content other than BJP. It started showing me the content which is basically based on the religion. Also, it showed me other people apart from the religion. It showed me about Shivaji and everything. And if you go to the history of AI MIM, it started showing me the content which is entirely different again. It is taking me through the content which is basically Muslim, and sometimes it is showing me the content that are not even Indian but Muslim. Even it is showing me some actually disturbing content, which is not Indian. It's not, the visuals are not disturbing, but the wordings that are used to mention the content and is actually disturbing. So in a way, the algorithm is understanding from multiple ways that like on one side, it mistook me as a completely Hindu person who is looking for the BJP content. On the other side, it took me as a completely Muslim person who is looking for AIMIM content. So also on the BJP side, it tried to show me other content apart from BJP. It's sometimes it shows me Rahul Gandhi or other Congress kind of content. But I also fed the algorithm by saying that this content is not interesting for me. So for some time, I have seen only pro BJP and kind of BJP thug life kind of content, and same thing on the AIMM's part.
And so again, think about it, right? When you're thinking about democratic societies, okay, now our ability to survive as a society is based on all of us having a common understanding, right? If we are 1.3 billion people today, all of us need to have a common understanding of, okay, this is our constitution, this is what we believe in, we believe in goodness, niceness, whatever, we have these common beliefs. And then, of course, you may have your opinion about how it is achieved, but we all have a common dream and a common goal, right? So that is how democratic societies function, right? When you start looking at algorithm, and these are algorithms, and again, this is what the difference is, what was being talked about, right? The opium versus spinach, right? In democratic societies, I'm going to give you what you want. It's a purely capitalistic model. I'm going to give you exactly what you want. If you want more of one party or the other, that's exactly what you're going to get. And you're going to get more and more and more of it until you believe that that is the whole universe. You don't even realize that there is a universe outside of that. Right? And if you think about what happened during the pandemic, we were just literally sitting home. Most of our information consumption was online. It was not through communication, right? And that also, we became like what you call slaves to the algorithm in some ways, because now the algorithm just basically kept, the more you started watching one kind of content, the more the algorithm started targeting it, and that's what happened. Right? When you look at the Chinese model, they're basically saying, no, you cannot target too much. You have to basically start focusing on, all of these topics. You cannot be over targeted and all that. And again, that's a different model that comes in, right? So now, thank you very much, Mukesh. And now I want to really talk about, warfare. How do you fight wars with personalization, right? And this is something that is very, very important. So if we could think about how we would fight wars, right? So that's fine. Just go to that one slide. That's okay. We deliberately deleted the content. So how would you fight wars? And if you think about what's going on in Ukraine and how the wars are being fought, or how elections are being fought, or whatever, right? I mean, a lot of elections just get won or lost because of a few thousand votes or a few hundred votes. And so what do you need to do? You need to target on Facebook. You need to target on YouTube. You target on these places. You give targeted messages to individuals, and that's what happens. That's one way, right? The other way is there's this really interesting document that I saw that was scary, but I also understand that's what has been happening. So if you think about how we were, colonized, right? So it was a very clear-cut, interesting divide and rule kind of a model, right? Where people would come in and they would say, okay, yeah, I'm going to divide and rule, and you get treated one way and somebody else get treated another way, and then that's how it's going to be. So ultimately, the goal of a war, if you guys can see my screen, is this, right? So you want to disrupt the enemy. So you want to basically create problems for them so they're not able to get the job done. You want to degrade their ability to fight a war, and you want to basically start doing divide and rule. You want desync, right? You want to start breaking up people. And this was a report that was actually done within the US as part of their, they routinely run these reports about how to fight wars, Okay, and the guy who was chairing this was Eric Schmidt, who was the who was the former CEO of Google. Okay, and Google is probably one of the more the probably nobody understands AI better than Google in some cases, I would argue. So when you look at this, this is what you want to do and how you're going to do it. So it's very simple, right? What this is, I'm going to look at your GPS data. Where are you going? When are you going? How are you going? What do you watch online, right? So what do you buy? Where do you bank? How much money do you have in the bank? What's going on, right? So how much have you studied? Who are your family members, right? Do I have your fingerprint, your biometric data? Do I have your DNA? You just drink a cup of coffee and put the cup somewhere and somebody scrapes your DNA out of it, right? Using all of this, you're basically creating an individual data profile, right? And using that, what you're basically saying is, let's start micro-targeting people. So again, think about earlier, if you had to divide and rule, you'd probably have like 20 people that are focused on that one guy. But here you have one AI that is basically targeting 1,000 people at the same time, right? So you can do personal attacks, and again, when you start looking at what's going on in the media, who's presenting what is the narrative, a lot of those are like their timings involved, right? Why did the BBC come up with something that the Supreme Court had already kind of given a judgment on, right? At this time, well, there are timings associated with that, where there are foreign powers interested in influencing behaviors, influencing voting, changing the way we think about a certain situation. And so that's what it is. There's lots of personal attacks. You want to separate out individuals. You want to basically put psychological pressure, right? You want to basically put pressure on people that if you want to target person A, then you look at all the loved ones that this person has, put pressure on them. So you put pressure on that, indirectly put pressure. You say bad things about that person, you target content, you blackmail, you do medical attacks, you have somebody's DNA, or you have somebody, this is what Russia is really well known for, is at least allegedly, they basically put radioactive substances in people that they don't like, and then they kill them. You do cyber attacks on their phones, whatever, or you're tracking somebody's phone, or where they are at a certain point, you throw a bomb there. So these are all things that you would do for personalization, right? And really, this is the whole gamut of it, right? As designers, we are literally sitting on that, and we will be probably doing more of this. And interestingly enough, there's like a whole military component of it. There's a civilian component of it, right? And for us, the first step to learning how to deal with personalization is really for you to kind of stop and think about, where is it? Where do I see it, right? Start questioning, why is something happening at a certain time? Is this a personalized thing, or is it a general thing, right? When you start thinking at all those levels, then you start thinking like a designer. And over time, then you can start implementing personalization strategies into your own product as well. Okay, so I think that's the end of it. And I would really, really like to appreciate and thank the R&D teams, Akash, Shrikar, Astha, Prasad, Ritvik, Aruni, Krati, Lakshmikant, Mukesh, and Simran. I think they did a really phenomenal job of doing the research, digging up. I think we need to just, it's a huge clap for all of you guys. And I think this is a lot of data, I understand, but I think just think about it, start recognizing it, and it'll change your perspective. Cool. Any questions or any thoughts before we end today? Awesome. So for those of you that are watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you like this content, please like, subscribe, and kind of so you get notified whenever we do these events. For the rest of you, if anybody else is interested, we're going to start a new R&D team. So anybody that's interested in the next R&D, let's start talking. I'm very interested in looking into augmented reality is one. I'm also very interested in looking into how we can do our work. So this is one of the things that I've been playing with Saurabh, is can we start a training module for designers where in terms of how to use AI to do a product. So right now we are doing research and development within our own thing. So for a visual designer, can you reduce your workload from 40 hours to 5 hours, right? So that's one of those things that we're looking at. So we will, get back. But if anybody is interested in doing the R&D the next cycle, please do sign up. and then we will get going from there. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great weekend.